I am Geoffrey, actually only the virtual namesake of a knight under that name that took part in the Fourth Crusade and wrote about the history of the Fourth Crusade. His history is one of the oldest known historical texts written in the French language. We are back to the time at which he lived, but in a very special mode for Medieval 2 Total War, Rusichi Total War. Rusichi Total War is a mode originally released only in Russian, but later translated very nicely into English. It has been known since its release for its superb unit models, wonderful models of the Mongols especially, but also of the Russian factions, the Cumans and the Volga Bulgars that were adopted by many other mods ever since, including by Stainless Steel. That is the high point of this very interesting mod, but there are also 3 low points. I have now finished a mini submod that fixes 2 of them, which I will place in TW Center in the forum there in the Rusichi Total War section in the next couple of days. First of all, this really is a Russian mod, centered on Russia, with only a few bordering regions around it, and the only playable factions are the 3 Rus factions, the Kievan Kingdom, the Great Duchy of Novgorod, and the Vladimir Suzdal Principality. I have not done anything about this because I respect modders' decisions in making certain factions non-playable. The second issue is that the campaign AI is very passive. After playing on very hard for 50 game turns, I had good relations with everyone on the map and nothing ever happened. A year or 2 ago, I had proposed to work on the campaign AI, and now I had a little bit of time over the Easter holidays and fixed it, so the campaign AI is now more aggressive. Those of you who, like me, have been playing Medieval 2 Total War for some 10 years may appreciate the increased difficulty. The third issue was that in the first 50 game turns of my campaign, the only units available were militia, armed with just a shield, and that's if they were not archers, and completely unarmored peasants called woodmen, armed with an axe. Of course, compared to them, the general's bodyguards, the only other unit, were very powerful, for which contrast I have some sympathy. Nonetheless, helmets were not invented in the 13th century AD. They were probably not even invented in the 13th century BC. In a story from the Siege of Constantinople of 1430 AD, a Greek priest described how townsfolk turned up on the walls with frying pans strapped on their shoulders for shields. These peasant woodmen are worse armed than that. Moreover, this mod has such amazing unit models that to play so long without them is something of a turn-off. So, I modded slightly the barracks so that you may start getting some heavier militia units by around game turn 60 or 70 or so, perhaps earlier if you're a little bit more methodical and focused with your building queues. Let us now have a look at the mod. As I said, there are only 3 playable factions, all of them Russian, but with slightly different types of units and different strengths and weaknesses. I will be playing as the Kiev Principality, which has access to some steppe horsemen for cavalry, but has no late gunpowder units. The Duchy of Novgorod has access to the sea and therefore gets more trade. It has good cavalry but weak militia units. The Vladimir Suzdal Principality is a mainly agricultural region with a balanced mix of units, except that they do not get much medium infantry. I will be playing the Kiev Principality, the Kievan Rus, on very hard. Victory conditions are to destroy the other two Russian factions and hold some key Russian regions. There is no requirement to defeat non-Russian factions or to capture non-Russian territory. You may have to capture foreign lands, however, to prevent other factions from reaching their victory conditions first. In essence, this is a Russian mod about medieval Russia, and the aim is to unite all of Russia under the rule of your chosen faction. As the description says, capturing non-Rus lands causes huge penalties, such as rebellions that drain you of money and cause public order penalties. You will witness this during my campaign. There is actually no need to capture foreign lands. The Rusichi mod has some very interesting feature. It prevents some cheats, has scripts that affect the economy, and much potential for internal uprisings if your king does not have sufficient authority. There is a warning not to try to attack or destroy the steppe nomads. Attempt this at your peril. The mod has an interesting feature, which is that it has many towns surrounded by unfortified villages. Moreover, a building queue allows towns to develop more villages as a kind of special building that increases income from this town. Alternatively, you can choose a building queue that provides instead land for military freeholds, as in the Byzantine Pronia style. In this case, the state gets less income since military freeholds are not taxed, but has access to a nice unit of heavy infantry, so at least some towns should be developed in that way. Capitals are very special. First of all, it does not pay to move your capital. Secondly, the capital is associated with a fortress or a citadel, which is a very interesting idea. There are also some interesting scripts for historical events and missions. For example, a campaign by Prince Igor against the Cumans, a troublesome Cuman horde invasion that precedes the Mongol horde, and a Mongol invasion that promises to be especially challenging. So, unite all of Rus and win. Here is our capital, Kiev, associated with a castle and with unfortified villages and minor forts all around it. At game start, we only have two faction members, the prince or king, Izyaslav, and the heir, Vladislav. Here are the settlements. Here is Kiev and the castle of Kiev, Detinech Kiva. You will have to pardon my Russian pronunciation, as I do not have any knowledge of Slavic languages. Pereyaslav near Kiev is one of their bigger towns in early game. Bakota is to the south. Turov to the northwest of Kiev. Kremenech to the west. And here are the very many unfortified villages around Kiev. And here's some villages around some of the other towns. The north is shrouded in darkness. Here is a rebel settlement that we know of, and Here, far to the north, is the capital of the Vladimir Suzdal Principality. Somewhere to the west of it, no, not here, here's that rebel settlement. We're back to our kingdom. Up here somewhere, further north, in the frigid north, here is Novgorod, the capital of the suitably named Great Duchy of Novgorod. As I said, nothing ever happened in the first 50 game turns, so we jump straight to game turn 58 using my mini submod, which is save game compatible. Before we jump off to the future, here is a last look at our starting position near Kiev and its surrounding villages and towns. We are now in game turn 58 in the year 1186. While keeping to within Russian territory, we are making a good income and building up our kingdom, but still no one is attacking us or anyone else for that matter. The world has enjoyed some 30 years of peace, but this peace is about to be shattered. Our standing with Novgorod and the Cumans has been deteriorating, and our diplomats are now struggling to keep our neighbors happy. More buildings are finished, and we now have a mission to capture a rebel settlement, Peremysl. A young general, Zachariah of Suzdal, is commanded to raise an army to take that settlement. Kremenich, one of the outlying towns, is now ready to upgrade. Towns have wooden walls, which is not unreasonable for Russia, where good quality stone is scarce. We are making a good income and have few problems for now. No need for a strong and expensive army, no rebellions or internal strife, so production is high. There are occasional minor rebellions, such as this one, by a mix of steppe horsemen, bandits, and other good-for-nothings. The Seljuks have reluctantly agreed to trade. We are still struggling to keep the Cubans happy, but we managed to arrange an alliance with Novgorod. We are working to keep the Volga Bulgars also happy. And here are the types of units you get in early game. Woodsmen armed with an axe and wearing a warm hat, and some militia archers wearing a different kind of warm hat. And we are in game turn 60 of this campaign. There were a couple of units with some armor available at Kiev at game start, but it has not been possible to retrain them. Bakota is now ready to upgrade. The Principality of Kiev is the most populous place in all of Russia. We have good relations with Hungary. More militia units are hired ahead of our mission to take Peremysl, and in the year 1188 Hungary makes us an offer for an alliance. Mind you, this is still on very hard, which is how it has been so far. We accept their offer for an alliance, and relations go from good to very good. Our diplomat to the Volga Bulgars also secures an alliance, and our standing with the Bulgars goes from very good to outstanding. We are now allied with every faction in the game save for the Turks and Vladimir Suzdal. This is still the carry-over of the good faction standing due to the original campaign AI, but my modded AI is beginning to make its presence felt already, so I am doing all I can to keep diplomacy standings up. Another little border raid by some Cuman marauders is cleaned up. The Turks and Hungary are happy. More militia units, armored with warm hats, are being recruited across our kingdom. The castle of Kiev has been upgraded into a fortress, and some roads, taverns, churches, and markets are built elsewhere. It is now the winter of 1188. This is a 2 turns per year mod. The heir of the Kievan kingdom, Sviatopolk, takes command of the army raised by Zachariah of Suzdal and puts the rebel town of Peremysl under siege. At this point, I took heed of the mod advice to raise the authority of future kings. I auto-resolved the battle. There will be better ones to come. Peremysl fell and was peacefully occupied, which made everyone happy and presented our future king Sviatopolk as an honorable ruler to the eyes of the people. There has been a magnificent grain harvest this summer. No sooner had Peremysl fallen than we received an order from the council to capture another rebel settlement, Gradec Yaroslav. Finally, the new campaign AI has kicked in, and there is now at last the first war of the campaign, a war between the Grand Duchy of Lithuania and the Kingdom of Poland. Places in those days were duchies, since there was supposed to be only one emperor or maybe two in the entire world, the Roman emperors. Everyone else was a duke except for a few upstarts like Poland and Hungary that had proclaimed to have a king. More junior militia are being hired, the wooden palisade around Peremysl has been repaired, the villages of Gyurichev have gotten some dirt roads. Presumably there were already some dirt paths, but now they have dirt roads. The joys of civilization have reached the village of Gyurichev. Some folk have died, others have been born. Life goes on. The campaign AI has sprang to life, and another town, the town of Turov, is ready for upgrade. State income is rising slowly. The Lithuanians agree to an alliance and hostilities cease between Poland and Lithuania, which greatly upsets the Cumans, who liked so much hearing stories of horror and mayhem in their daily news. The Cumans consequently break their alliance. Vyacheslav the Wrathful, one of our generals, takes Gradec Yaroslav, which greatly pleases our council of nobles. Zachariah of Suzdal adopts a young general into the royal family of Kiev. Our council of nobles knows they are on a good thing and recommend taking yet another rebel settlement down in the south, the city of Galich in Galicia. There it is marked with a white square. Lithuania and Poland go again to war with each other, which causes problems also with our diplomatic standing. Poland has found a new ally in Novgorod, which means that Lithuania will be double-teamed and its future looks dim. The Cumans ally with Vladimir Suzdal, and Vladimir Suzdal allies with Novgorod, and you can perhaps see now how the AI is slowly spinning its web around the human player faction. Small churches are being built across the land. Since we have chosen to keep our peace with Poland, we lose our alliance with Lithuania. State income has exceeded 50,000 golden coins. The Cumans have allied themselves with Lithuania, and Lithuania has allied with Hungary. We only have Denmark and the Byzantine Empire not yet allied to our future enemies. More militia with warm hats are hired. Kiev gets a city hall like a proper European city, and 2 of our villages get fields and dirt roads. We are now in the year 1190, and here is that option I mentioned earlier of choosing whether to develop a new town either with villages or with military freeholds. Remember, this is an old mod that predated the idea we saw in Shogun 2 and later games of tech trees, so this was an innovating feature at the time when this mod was made. Vladimir Suzdal goes to war with the Volga Bulgars, who are our allies. Novgorod goes to war with Lithuania, which is now cooked. A new type of unit has become available in Kiev and Chernigov, free fighters, which are a very capable archer unit with some body armor. At last, a unit wearing armor. Hopefully we will get to see them soon in action. Kremenich has now a brand new wooden wall. Sviatopolk, the Honorable, our heir, has died before he ever got to rule over our kingdom. Novgorod is now the most advanced faction. We are still the most populous kingdom, but the AI is growing in strength. One effect my campaign AI has is to help the AI use its funds better, not leaving money unspent, so it helps AI factions grow naturally. They do not get extra cash, just they use the money they have rather than leave it in the bank. It happens all by itself. It's in the engine, it is just something that happens, nothing especially clever on my part. The AI has issues with certain impossible and strange-looking faction geographies and some mods that cause breakdown and freeze the AI, and my AI removes some of the conditions that are affected by geographic features, so the AI goes back to work building armies and building buildings with the money it has. Kremenich has reached a level in its development that a decision has to be made about whether to opt for village land or freeholds. In this case, it will be village land. News of a plague reach our kingdom. The Cumans ally themselves with the Byzantine Empire, who are also our allies. This does not bode well. It has now become possible to raise also some cavalry in the fortress of Kiev. Finally, some cavalry in the game, other than general bodyguards at least. And this is after my mod. Normally you would have needed another building level to get cavalry, which probably means you will need to have the Kiev castle reach citadel level to get cavalry. Any cavalry. You see how strange the unmodded version of the Rusichi mod was. Just militia units until you have a citadel, of which you could only have one in your entire kingdom, if you ever get it at all. What is the point of making those glorious-looking unit models if you'd never get to have them in the game? So, more village woodsmen recruited into our army, and there's some more village development. We are now again the most advanced faction, though Novgorod and Vladimir Suzdal remain mighty. And we will finish with a little battle, the siege of the rebel town of Galich, that our Council of Nobles demanded to be taken. Zachariah of Suzdal leads the attack, and his son Andrei comes with the reinforcements. But the rebels sally out. That was a clever move from the AI to attack in this way the two generals before they can join forces. Will Andrei of Suzdal arrive in time to help out his father? You can see why early expansion is not easy. The rebels have a very formidable army with heavy Turkic cavalry, armored free fighter archers, dismounted senior druzina, and even some crossbowmen. These units are unheard of in our kingdom. A nice departure from our kingdom's down-to-earth style of militia equipped with gardening implements and armored with warm hats. Now I wonder if capturing Galich would also give the human player the capacity to get such units there. Sadly, there are no battle sounds for most of the battle, but it does not matter too much. It was a dark, rainy day, but Rusichi has all kinds of weather. Do not be turned off by the bleak and ghastly weather in this battle. The rebels are sallying out to attack Zachary of Suzdal before Andrei of Suzdal can come to his aid. You can see in the minimap how far away Andrei of Suzdal is. Our woodsmen will have to hold their ground and hope Andrei of Suzdal comes to save the day. Here, a woodman has cut down an enemy armored horseman. Look at these shiny units. The rebels have got shiny shields, shiny helmets. Our woodsmen here have pinned down the enemy cav and will in fact rout them. They may look drab, but they are ferocious fighters. You have to grant them that. They have routed the enemy who flees back into the town. In the meantime, some of our units have penetrated the rear and are now racing to the gate to prevent the enemy from going back into the town. Outnumbered and outmatched, but shiny armor is not everything. Our general gallops to the left to hold back the enemy cavalry there and help the woodsmen who are being hard pressed. Our men have taken the gateway, and now the rebel units still outside are in trouble. Here, one of the enemy cavalry units has seen our reinforcements approaching and heads off in their direction to hold them up, or ideally even butcher them. But an amazing thing happens. An upgraded unit of junior militia with some armor, while holding back the heavy enemy units, kills the enemy general, Captain Leonti. Our reinforcements begin to arrive. At least a unit of horse archers has arrived and charges into the rebel town. Our enemy is running back into the town after the death of their commander. Some units come back to try and hold back our men, but are routed and flee along with the rest. Zacharia of Suzdal is spearheading our charge into the town center, taking prisoners along the way. You can see his banner in the distance. These horsemen are his bodyguard. Finally, those that survived the battle outside have regrouped and are now making a valiant stand, but their plan has backfired and we are now through the walls, and with reinforcements arriving, the balance of battle is slowly turning to our favor. This is all that is left to our enemy, just these units fighting at the front, a couple of depleted units in reserve in the town plaza, and 3 horsemen. Here is Andrei of Suzdal, still making his way to the town. He is now entering through the gate. Meanwhile, there's now fighting in the town plaza. Some of our units have sneaked in through a side street and have attacked the rear of our enemy. These upgraded militia are taking on those last 3 rebel horsemen. While our soldier is swinging his axe at his horsemen, we can admire the wonderful unit modeling of this mod. And here is our kingdom's only senior militia unit, a unit of spearmen from Kiev. They have arrived to take part in this battle, and they are now making a flanking move, coming into the plaza through one of the side streets. Some of them wear worn hats, but others have helmets and are armed with spears. This is the only spear unit the Kievan Rus have in the early game, and it is extremely rare. At the sight of our men, these 3 enemy archers instantly break. One of the enemy Turkey horsemen still fights on in the town plaza. He seems very hard to kill. But our spearmen are finally here, and he is now doomed. And battle sound is back for a few moments of battle immersion. The skins of the armored enemy units are amazing, and especially how they glisten in the rain.
Praise the Almighty! Our enemy has lost his stomach to fight. We must push our advantage. This is a clear victory that goes to only men of great virtue and valor.
Zachariah of Suzdal nearly lost half his army, but we have been victorious in the end.
God has granted his faithful this victory. God be praised for blessing us with victory.
Galich is peacefully occupied, and as a reward, we are offered a new general for adoption, Boris Bukishev.